If you're watching this episode and you're wondering how to plan effectively for your child's education, well, today we're going to unpack 3 of the core fundamentals of educational planning right up next. If this is the very first time that you are watching Money and Medicine, I want to ask you to go out to our website on www.moneyandmedicine.co.za. Go check up some of the content that we've discussed, that we've unpacked. Also, some of the interviews that we've had with thought leaders in the market. Share this with colleagues that you know might find this useful. Also, hit that subscribe button below for future content and to make sure that you've got the latest news and education that is available. Let's jump in. So the first thing that you have to look out for when you start planning for education is how are you going to manage your wealth? Good practice would be to talk to friends and relatives that currently have children at varsity or secondary education or for whatever phase you want to save for, and find out what the costs would be. It's also important to start allocating a certain amount of that cost towards a budget. Please don't leave this for last minute. We see too many clients too often that save only when the child is 13 or 14 years old, and then you have to play catch up, which can be quite a daunting task. So when you start, try to start when your child is born. That's one of the things that you have to look out for. The quicker you start, the more the compounding effect over time will help you cross the line. Secondly is where we look at how to protect your wealth in such a manner that, God forbid, something should happen to you, that you can finish the journey on behalf of your child. This is one of those cornerstones that you always don't like talking about, but this is what would happen if you should die prematurely, or what would happen if you should become disabled or even fall ill. Is there measures in place to make sure that you could finish that job or that duty or that privilege to help you get your child to education? So this is where you go to certain companies and make sure that you take out what we call an education insurance policy. One of my favorites is if you go to Discovery, they've got a global educator protection benefit. The reason why I like it is based on your vitality status. For the sake of time, I'm not going to delve too much into this, but you can talk to an accredited financial advisor about this product. But one of the things that they do is they offer a vesting benefit, meaning that if you haven't claimed at the age of 18 of the child, there is a certain amount of time that Discovery would pay on your behalf. So it's not a pure insurance benefit on itself. It does have a vesting benefit that will help you fund your child's education for that time. And then lastly, we look at wealth creation. And this is one of the most debated topics when it gets to financial education. I'm just going to share a couple of tips that I've seen that works quite useful. Some of the stuff you can apply immediately. Some of the stuff you can run in parallel with one another. So it's not one or the other. You can have a combination of these vehicles to make sure that you can save efficiently for your child's education. The first one is you can literally use your house bond, especially in a market like South Africa where interest rates are fairly high. It's a nice way to save on effective interest by parking some of your savings in your house bond. Make sure that you do have a flexi bond, because you can use the flexi bond in the future to withdraw or refinance some of that capital and actually pay for your child's education in advance. Some of the varsities offer great discounts if you pay as an annual benefit, even if you pay as like 4 years in advance. I think the risk with that is just to make sure that your child commits to that field of expertise that they want to study. So hence maybe take it year by year. The second option that is quite familiar and quite popular is if you take out a tax-free saving in the child's name. So when your child's born, you can be the responsible party, that you sign off on everything, all the decision that's made up until the child turns 18 years old, and then the money can be directed towards education. The benefit of a tax-free saving is that a tax-free saving has no tax implications at all. You can only allocate 36,000 Rand per year. So make sure that if there's birthday monies available, if there's money available from the grandparents or from friends or whatever case, make sure that you channel all of that money towards this educational tax-free savings account that you've started for your child to make sure you get that accumulating interest over the long run. If you've maxed out your tax-free limits, which is, as per current legislation, 36,000 Rand per year, or R500,000 over the lifetime of the policy, then I would start looking at what we call an endowment policy. You can also look at a sinking policy, which is a very similar policy to an endowment policy. The only difference is with an endowment, you would nominate a life assured so that money vests if something happens to you, Or with a sinking policy, there's no life assured. The policy will continue going on until it vests with whoever you nominate. So that's the difference between the two. In short, both of them are taxed within the fund at a 30% tax rate. So if you are somebody that's operating at a 45% tax bracket, as let's say the super bracket currently in South African terms, you will effectively save 50% from a tax perspective. Also, in the case of an endowment, you nominate a beneficiary, which actually helps quite a lot in the event of death, because that money pays directly to that beneficiary. It will not go through your estate where then an executor can charge 4.025% with VAT on that benefit. So quite useful. Also, lastly, make sure that you perhaps look at a unit trust solution for your children. It's very important to understand that a unit trust is something that is not very tax efficient, because you will pay capital gains tax, interest tax, dividend withholding tax, whatever the case is, on this benefit, but it does offer a lot of flexibility. So in the event of short-term needs, maybe you need that money for primary education, because remember, everybody starts saving for tertiary education, but there might be a primary education need. Maybe your child has the opportunity to go overseas for a sporting event, and they might have that exposure, and you're like, listen, this is what we value. Then a unit trust will offer you that flexibility. It's good practice to maybe have a unit trust as a supporting mechanism, opposed to throwing all your capital in the unit trust because of the tax implications. So to summarize, in short, it's very important to make sure that you're managing your wealth effectively. Talk to those relatives, make sure that you have an idea of what to budget for, and start small, even if it's 100 Rand or 200 Rand a month, because the compounding effect over time would be massive. Secondly, make sure you protect your wealth and you protect your educational dreams. This will include insurance policies that you can take out. As I said, one of my personal favorites is Discovery's Global Protector, because that benefit vests if you haven't used any of the insurance products at the age of 18. So it's not just contributing towards an insurance product. And then lastly, wealth creation. The vehicles that we've spoken about in this podcast, try to implement either one of them or a combination of, to make sure that your child's education is safeguarded. And then lastly, I'm very passionate about protecting future generational wealth. They say one of the main differences between South Africa and other emerging markets is generational planning. So educational planning is one of those cornerstones that you can make sure that your child's education, your child's future is bright. So put these measures in place, talk to your financial advisor, or reach out to one of our money and medicine advisors, and we can help you to sort this out. If you've liked this video and you've liked this content, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, reach out to us on Instagram. You can send us a DM. You can reach out to us on Facebook, some of our other social media pages, or just come to www.moneyandmedicine.co.za, reach out via an online meeting that you can put up with one of our advisors, and to make sure that you've got the latest information when it gets to your financial affairs. Until next time, plan the plan.